Welcome everyone. Welcome to today's discussion under our personal development category. Today, we want to start with a discussion on mindfulness and why mindfulness, or as some people call it, the power of the pause, is where personal development really begins. My name is Danny. I am a board certified holistic registered nurse by trade. I'm also a registered yoga teacher, have been a dance fitness instructor for over 10 years, and really just a huge nerd. I love to learn. I love anything related to complementary and integrative health modalities. So, a lot of what we're going to discuss are things that are going to have the most bang for our buck in terms of personal development. So, what are things that are not only going to support good mental and emotional health, but also physical health, spiritual health, and so on? So, welcome to today's topic. But first, mindfulness. First, I just want to get out of the way that sometimes I feel like mindfulness now has this negative connotation almost. It's just this trendy buzzword. But here's the thing, mindfulness has its roots grounded in Eastern culture for hundreds of years. And most recently, our Western father of mindfulness, John Kabat-Zinn, he describes mindfulness as a way of being in the present moment, on purpose, non-judgmentally. Of course, that non-judgmentally piece is the toughest, right? And John Kabat-Zinn, he started a movement really in America. It started as a stress reduction clinic at the University of Massachusetts Medical Center back in the early 80s. And since that time, they have seen over 25,000 people that completed his groundbreaking program. And the program itself is a multi-week program. It eventually became known as mindfulness-based stress reduction, and it was really designed to help people respond to stress and manage it. Also looking at how to respond to pain, chronic illness, and really just increasing capacity to cope with all of these things. And before we dive into mindfulness and its importance, first we need to ask the big questions. What does the literature say about this? Is there evidence base for mindfulness? Is it really going to help me with my overall wellness? And I think you can imagine if I'm presenting on it, the answer is yes. And I have lots of juicy literature articles that I can reference you to on this subject. I did just want to highlight a few things though. I wanted to start by diving into what mindfulness can do in helping pain alone. Because what has been found is that mindfulness, specifically in the form of meditation, it can improve our ability to regulate chronic pain. So there was this groundbreaking investigation into the potential for mindfulness to help people with pain, where 90 people were enrolled in a 10-week mindfulness-based stress reduction course. And that was at the University of Massachusetts Medical Center. So this is John Kabat-Zinn's program. And during that program, the people noticed that they had experienced significant decreases in their experience of pain. And that means present moment pain, as well as long-term pain symptoms, and even mood disturbance because of the pain and negative body image. Additionally, they also experience less anxiety and depression, and their use of pain relieving drugs decreased. Now, before I get on my soapbox, we know that America is in a crisis in terms of opioid addiction. We've turned the page and that we're really starting to look proactively at what we can do to support people who suffer from chronic pain that isn't always necessarily pharmaceutical, but we have a long way to go. And to know that something such as engaging in mindfulness, which doesn't cost anything and that isn't going to have potential side effects up to and including death, as that comes with opioids, I mean, this is a big deal. And in that study, they noted that most people saw those pain relieving benefits up to 15 months later. Additionally, there were more studies that suggested that mindfulness may reduce the experience of pain by, again, lowering anxiety related to pain. So, almost that bracing mechanism where you're like, ooh, I know this is going to hurt. And then that leads to almost that self fulfilling prophecy, and the pain can be even worse. It Mindfulness was shown even to decrease the actual pain sensitivity. So, on the 1 to 10 rating scale, people were rating their pain as lower when they engaged in regular mindfulness. And also, even the way that our brains perceive pain were changed as a result of a regular mindfulness practice. So, this is just one of the first studies really looking into mindfulness based stress reduction and its impact on pain. I wanted to mention too that there's lots of literature that supports mindfulness practices having a positive effect on chronic stress, which is something we all deal with. It could show improvements in depression symptoms, general anxiety, and even binge eating. And when I heard about binge eating, I thought, really? How can just being in the present moment help with that? What's the connection here? But when you think about it, it makes a lot of sense because a lot of times when a person engages in binge eating, it's almost this dissociation or like a detachment from what's happening. And you just sort of eat and fill that void within yourself. And it's not really something that you're thinking about until it's all over and you're stuffed and you're going, oh my gosh, what did I just do? Right. So if we're really attending to our eating, if we are looking at the beautiful food in front of us, we're smelling it, our mouths are watering before we've even taken our first bite of it. And, we're having this entire sensual experience with food. It makes sense that we're going to not only enjoy it more, but we're going to notice how that food makes us feel. We're going to notice when our hunger has been satiated and our body is giving us the signal that it's full. So, if I've convinced you enough with some of the scientific literature behind it, you may be asking yourself, where do I start? Where do I even begin on this journey of mindfulness? I really don't have time to meditate an hour a day. I don't have time to be like you in this picture, Danny, sitting in the forest meditating. What is actually accessible for the most busy person? And let me say first, if I could meditate in the forest every day, I would because it's magical. I really would do that. But also, being a mom of two, working full time, doing all of the things, I realized that that's not attainable for me and probably not attainable for most of us. So, where can we start? I wanted to go through some mindfulness practices just to sort of broaden the scope of what is under the umbrella of mindfulness, and then hopefully give you guys an idea of attainable, short mindfulness practices that can be reasonably incorporated into our daily lives. So, journaling. Journaling, I think, gets a bad rep after you turn maybe 16 or something like that. It's something I think that we view as this sort of nostalgic childhood practice of, pouring our hearts out into these journals, dear diary. But journaling is really, really impactful. And it's something that if you do it mindfully, if you're really, connecting with, pen to paper or even voice texting, you can voice journal as well. But if you're really in the present moment and it's allowing you that outlet to feel your emotions, and then you also have the impact of being able to reflect on your words later, that's wonderfully powerful mindfulness practice. And that can be parlayed into all sorts of things. If you don't want to just journal about your day to day experience, gratitude journaling, of course, is also very powerful. Writing down 3 things that you're grateful for every day, whether you start your day that way or end the day that way. It's a way to cultivate sort of this this deep thankfulness and recognizing the connectedness and how there are all of these pockets of joy that you can find in your day to day experience if you just shift your attention towards them. Seated meditation is like me in the last picture. I think a lot of us think about that picture of the yogi sitting cross legged, crisscross applesauce, eyes closed, maybe chanting a mantra or repeating a positive affirmation over and over. And this is a beautiful practice. And if you have time for it, I highly encourage it. But I also recognize that that is not attainable for all of us. However, even 5 minutes, as long as you're doing it regularly, can be beneficial and impactful. So I'll just throw that out there. Prayer. If you grew up with prayer being a regular practice, or even if not, if it's something that you've discovered in your adulthood, mindfully attending to your words. So putting out this intention of wellness, of goodness, of just things that are on your heart, and sort of putting the intention out there and releasing it. That act of contemplative prayer can be very, very impactful, and of course, takes a great deal of mindfulness. Mindful eating, I talked about a little bit on the last slide when we were talking about binge eating and what that looks like, and sort of mindfulness and its piece in reducing binge eating. It's that taking a moment to sit down and really engage with your food, see it, smell it, taste it, feel it nourishing you, and so on and so forth. Breath awareness is one of my favorite mindfulness practices because it's easy. We are breathing whether we are focused on our breath or not. And so breath awareness can be as short as 30 seconds of just closing your eyes, tuning into your breath, noticing where you can feel your breath the most in your body, taking a full deep breath or maybe a few of them, and just noticing what it feels like to be in your body in the present moment. And like I said, that can be 30 seconds, a minute, and still be very impactful in terms of your biometrics, in slowing down your pulse, in lowering your blood pressure, and so on. Walking meditations. Eventually, we're going to talk about forest bathing within our Dharma with Danny community. But, this is just my shameless plug for any type of getting out into nature, taking a walk, and again, engaging all 5 senses. What does it feel like walking in the moment? What do you smell? What do you see? What do you hear? Walking meditations are very, very powerful. Mantra repetition. Again, that can come in the form of chanting. I think some of us familiar with yoga practice maybe know some mantras, but mantras do not only have to be in Sanskrit. They can be repeating positive affirmations to yourself as well. And it's that piece of being fully aware of what you're saying, having a belief behind it, and putting that intention to it. Loving kindness meditations, so impactful. Discovering, not only shining that kindness towards ourselves and our own experience, but also those around us, towards people that we maybe feel neutral about or maybe have had some conflict with, and then people all around the world. All of us wish for happiness, safety, peace, and wellness, and just recognizing that, and truly with an open heart wishing that for every human being, every sentient being on the planet. I know I keep saying powerful, but it is so powerful, guys. And then finally, I put daily chores as a mindfulness practice, and you're probably like, excuse me, Danny, what in the world? The reason I put that is because everything that we do, there's potential to be mindful and engaged in it. I'm talking, we're standing at the kitchen counter or the kitchen sink, I should say, and we're doing our dishes. Well, we should be smelling those wonderful sudsy bubbles. We should be feeling the warm water and noticing the different textures that we're scrubbing off of our dishes. We can make washing dishes a mindfulness practice. We can make taking a hot shower a mindfulness practice. How many of us don't even realize when we're driving sometimes? We go from the grocery store to home and we go, man, I don't remember half the turns I took. Wow. Driving can be a mindfulness practice. All of these daily things that we take for granted in our day, brushing our teeth, getting dressed, we can take the time to pause and notice. So, to recap, here's what we know. We know that mindfulness is something simple, it's just being present. Um, we know that it's important to be non judgmental in the way that we are perceiving the things happening in our lives. And simply by noticing what's going on around us, but also what's going on within us, right? Boosting that awareness is going to boost our overall health and wellness. So it may not be easy when we first start, but it is simple. And it's just like working out, it's just like lifting weights. The more that we do it, the bigger our muscles are going to grow. We just need to flex this mindfulness muscle. Next, we know that there are numerous positive health benefits of engaging in mindfulness. We talked about it lowering stress, which of course is going to in turn lower inflammation, which in turn will lower our likelihood of developing a whole host of diseases. Mindfulness can lower anxiety. It can help us detach from binge eating. It can improve depressive symptoms, and it can help us control chronic pain. Being mindful, whether you are sitting down for a long moment and being able to engage in that beautiful seated meditation type practice, or if you're doing it in short bursts, you're going over that list of 3 things you're grateful for. You are noticing when you wash your hands, how good it feels, and give yourself a moment to breathe before you exit the bathroom and back into the workspace. It doesn't matter so much if we're doing short practices or long practices. What matters is that we're consistent. Just stick with it. So that's what I have for everyone today. Thank you for coming to this presentation. We started by talking about mindfulness because it really is the core of us leading intentional lives and being able to attend to what our mental body needs from us, what our emotional body needs, our physical body, our spiritual body. And it is going to be the basis of all of our work on personal development. So let me know if you have any questions or comments. There's my email. We can also talk it out in our Dharma with Danny community page on the website or on Facebook. I'd love to hear any feedback you have for me. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I thank you so much for your time. We'll see you next month.